Good evening all, and welcome from the TECHNESS Corner. I am your host, Seb Luca, otherwise known as Sebastian Lucas, and welcome. Come in, take a seat, grab a coffee. It's a late one. It's borderline 12 a.m. or p.m. It's a.m., 12 a.m. in the morning. It's 11:50 p.m. currently Australian Eastern Time, and this ain't going to be pretty. So let's go. So I've been pushing it hard, you all. I've been pushing hard. It's 11:50 p.m. currently when the video went up live, and you savvy folk, you already know what I'm talking about. When it was posted, I noticed it 26 minutes after the fact. Now, I'm not subscribed to Hardware Unboxed, HUD, otherwise known as. I don't believe in subscribing to the bigwigs because they manipulate and overpopulate the vines, the tech vines, and as influencers they have a duty of care to provide you with diligent and rightfully put information at the very least that leads you guys as consumers not astray but in the right way. And today I've come across a video which just, triggered me in some ways because I'm very budget conscious. I'm very consumer driven in regards to saving a penny or two. In fact, the line bang for buck triggers me in suggesting that what we are about to receive is borderline God's gift of tech information pertaining to what we as consumers should run out and go get instantaneously. Okay, so without sugarcoating my wording very much, like I said, it may be a little bit scary today what you may find and hear about your beloved HUD or Hardware Unboxed hosts per se, or in this case, who is it, should I say? Well, let's get into it and into the video per se that we're discussing today at the TECHNESS Corner in a review style that is by no means stepping on anyone's toes. This has, look, if information like this is pressed forward, then at the very least, someone has to be there to cross-reference this stuff and to address it, even to my small audience, and I'm appreciative of it thus far. Thank you. Hit the like and subscribe button for not just content like this, but content like what we're about to see that, based upon perhaps my aneurysms and my body language, you may address that perhaps I've got a better alternative that you guys might like to look into yourselves for what is bang for buck and definitely budget orientated entry level new gaming PC worthy, at least material, if it hasn't sold out yet or in the near to distant future by the time you guys get around to getting those items at set prices. So let's go, let's get into it. Now, don't mind me as I keep on vaping, generally doing these live spells. We'll be vaping up aplenty because we are absolutely steaming. And there he is, the culprit of today. God bless his heart, Tim, for all the hard work he does. God bless their hearts, both Tim and Steve. Their benchmarking processes are second to none because they've developed a way of doing it themselves in a way that's never been thought out outside the box, supposedly. But I don't want to get into any politics here pertaining to the riffraff that seems to be going on as an undercurrent through young influencers trying to make a name for themselves. It's borderline getting ridiculous. So let's just pull back a moment, but this is a shot in the newest video, which is linked in the description below for all you all to see as we get a bit more personal with both Tim and myself inclusive. So let's press forward and get into the nitty gritty, people, of what's got me steaming under the collar and blowing goddamn dragons. Hold on, can I do a dragon? That was a dragon almost. You can tell because my nostrils are flaring. Fire, fire, fire uppercut. Fire uppercut. Are you going? No, none of those street baller references here. This is all above board, people. So you can see Steve, I beg your pardon, Tim, and God bless his photogenic self. Oh, they're going to be building some budget builds for you all. Now, this has been presented as a budget build. And I've got some notes that I shall be going through at some stage, or just more, trigger points to reference to. But I've got the figures down here, and this is in relation to the US dollar, this build. And as a result, everything is applicable to the US market. I've translated it for the Australian market based upon the Australian dollar currently, the exchange rate, what the prices are currently, because every one of the links to every one of those items per se that are over there have affiliated links to both Amazon and Newegg, provided to us by, I'm guessing, Tim in this case. Very pretty links, which direct you to both, with a disclaimer at the bottom. No harm there. After all, getting those Newegg links and providing you with those tech deals are a must, and you wouldn't want to, forego giving us the best price if you are emphasizing a budget build. Okay, so the title and the description of the build of the title and description of this video may or may not change, but it's essentially bang for buck, best budget build early 2022 Intel. Okay, I can see a AMD GPU over there. I would have factored that GPU would have gone better with an AMD build, frankly. But to cut a long story short, let's move on. Here it is, people. It turns out that it takes about, from a 20-minute video, it was approximately almost 12 minutes in that we actually got the final pricing on this build. $1,120 US for what is classified as an Intel budget mid-range build. Not to sugarcoat things, Tim goes about it in a way where, unfortunately, the Be Quiet Pure Rock 2 isn't available. As a result, they've got a different one which costs more currently, so that's what they're using in their build. The certain other items have been changed from what would be the, what would they price at $140 or something, like the motherboard per se. Luckily, they've got their one priced there at the $150 US mark currently. And essentially, there's a lot of pluses and minuses, or innuendos, and influencing you to believe that what he's providing you is a much more budget friendly build, when in actual fact they're using these builds to compare to the AMD build later on down the track. They're going to be doing a whole series of these budget orientated builds. But after all of this, we get to the 12-minute mark, and that's the first taste of what we get is an Intel budget mid-range build. I don't know what a mid-range budget build is. I know what a budget build is: a low-end build, a budget build, a new budget build. Mid-range is, to me, a mid-range build, and a high-end build. I guess you can have a budget high-end build, could you not? Or a budget mid-range build. But, them's like apples and oranges to me. Like, it doesn't sort of equate and make too much sense, if you get my drift. So what we're looking at here is this Intel budget mid-range build, unfortunately, because he's written it in there now, and we have to address it as a fact. You understand that this is fresh off the press, people, and as a result, you're getting it live and pretty much unscripted from me, and it gets my best reactions because, like I said, steam is billowing out from me. You can borderline see coming from my ears, but if you do, just let me know, because then we've probably got a hole up there somewhere which has to be addressed as well. So guys, look, to cut a long story short, I did the numbers for the Australian audience out there, and the figures currently addressed with the links associated. I went through the Amazon affiliated links just to save time, and there was only one or two of the items which were out of stock, which I had to then verify if Newegg had any in stock. A lot of these items, there's only 2 or 3 of them at play. Some are out of stock. The better versions of set items will be $100 less. So, like mentioned by Tim, you can get them for $100 less, but you'll be waiting 1 to 2 months still for those items to arrive. Literally, it says it in what we're about to show you as we press forward. But to cut a long story short, not to keep you 12 minutes, essentially this build conservatively cost them actually $1,200 US, to be a bit more accurate. This is being sugar coated slightly by Tim, not including any additional postage and handling and what's not that you would receive from Newegg and or Amazon potentially. That's why I went down the Amazon path. They can be a bit more competitive. Newegg likes to slap on some postage and handling at times, so that's something to consider. But $1,200, okay, which equates to, let me get me figures, $1,200, which equates to, I believe it was 1,660 Australian dollars for this budget mid-range build. On a side note, I just recently did one of these types of builds. I didn't realize it was mid-range. I called it a budget entry level build for 1,500 Australian dollars. Okay, 1,500 Australian dollars. So that would be less than the $1,200 mark that Tim has here. And the link is in the description below, as well as the link to Tim's Hardware Unboxed video here that we are essentially reviewing and elaborating on for him with our 2 cents worth. Hopefully you guys think it as much, and check out my build, because I wouldn't be so up in arms if I didn't have something rock solid for all you to be blessed in also trying to consider at the very least, and see what your options are available regarding these types of builds at this price range, because this is a lot of money. This budget entry, $1,500 Australian dollars, is budget entry new in this day and age, guys. That's what it is. You want about half that and add a little bit more, and that's budget entry gaming. For gaming in this day and age, to get some of those good games playing, you know, you don't just want to be an esports Nancy all your life, you know what I mean? You want to elevate a little bit and dip your toes in some Elden Ring and whatnot. Then you're going to have some serious muscle behind your gaming experience. Otherwise it's just going to be really lackluster, because that's not how the games are made to be seen and adorned and played. It's not always about massive frame rates based upon milliseconds and whatnot, even though I get that as well. There are other games out there, people, and those ones are the ones that are blessed, and those are the ones that we look at when benchmarking, generally speaking, unless they're highly sought esport games played. But once you get past, you know, 200 frame rates, who gives a flying, you know what I mean? So yeah, so let us move on, and I'm going to show you guys what the current prices are in Australian dollars for everything, essentially. Remember, the Australian dollar is approximately 75 cents of the US dollar, so 25% weaker. And we'll start going through these figures, and you're going to see what we're talking about here. Intel Core i5 2400F, as suggested by Tim, as the Intel counterpart of the Intel budget mid-range build. It's 12400F mid-range, extra $100. He did not think that the 12600K was worth it for an extra $100. For an extra $100 in his regards, I would tend to agree. But here we can see it's 290 Australian dollars and $12.27 delivery. 290. So you remember these figures as we press forward, essentially, because 290 coming back from what was $180. Okay, so nice. Next on the agenda, we've got ourselves a graphics card. Now, $370 was the 6600 Radeon RX 6600 that was suggested by Tim. The Mech 2 equivalent, Mech 2 2 by Mech RX 6600 Radeon AMD graphics card. There is, get it by tomorrow, there's only two left, $584.50 from the $370 price tag that Tim sorted out. These are affiliated links that these guys are sending out to us. So you'd hope at the very least that there's, they've sourced us similar pricing and whatnot. So I don't know if across the board in the US it's that much better currently. I don't actually think it is. You can get for $499, I see, the Eagle variant, if you're not after the Mech 2 MSI variant. That's got a 3 cooler on it. That looks interesting. Wait, usually dispatched within 1 to 2 months. So I guess that's a no-go as well. So moving on, people. We've got an MSI Pro B660MA Wi-Fi DDR4 motherboard. Okay, it's got all the bells and whistles for a little micro ATX board that it is. Okay, 259 Australian dollars. There's only 5 left in stock as well. It's going to be $7.36 delivery as well. Okay, guys, so I believe this is the higher end of the spectrum. You can get the lower end of this board, which will cost you $10 less US dollars, from 150 to 140 according to Tim. Now understand that would equate to what you think, like 225 for us, 230 you'd hope in Australian dollar. But this all goes somewhere, even if you are a US citizen or paying in US dollars for the prices. Stay till the end and the conclusion, and you'll get a better summary of what I'm sort of pressing here pertaining to this budget level PC gaming system that is being pushed on you all. If you want something that's secure in your money and a better bet, hit that link in the description below before you watch all of this and all the stock's gone, yo. But let's move on to the next item on the list. Decent, guys. G-Skill Ripjaws, he's got it there, 16 gigabytes, 2x8 gigabytes DDR4, 3600 megahertz, CL18 on the timings. A little bit loose, but that's okay. Loose Magoose ain't gone to astray, because 3600 megahertz is that sweet spot. They are producing these like no tomorrow. I don't know if they are the Samsung die bin ones anymore. I think they've been flipped, but 65 US dollars, I believe Tim had them for. $104 free delivery in Australia. So that 25% is looking mighty terrific right now on the exchange rate of something that's got free delivery. I would suggest getting it from America and delivered over to Australia. I did that actually. A place that gave me the best bang for buck that I could get at one stage for 64 gigabytes of DDR4 memory months and months and months ago, at a time where they were about $200 more in Australia, was in the US, Newegg. I got it delivered straight from Los Angeles to Melbourne. Got here quicker than post from the other side of Australia gets to me. and I was so grateful to Tech Deals for that. The stars aligned. I had just enough money in one account. I transferred to the other account just enough, even with delivery, and I managed to get a steal. Impossible. These priced at 16 gigabytes, and if you were to multiply this to the 64, that's the figure we're talking, you know, over a year yonder. And yeah, so something that both Tim and Steve could get from this is, at the very least, there are other people out there that perform differently and have better niches and handle PC information the way they portray it to their consumers of that information in a different light and with other agendas at heart. Tech Deals and Jason and Rogue, God bless them as well. God bless them all. They are and have affiliated links. They've never not disclosed that. But they've been getting, I think, the bad end of the stick lately because there's some newer influencers up and rising. I'm not going to name and shame completely because the teabagging comes from them so clearly. It's obvious as day who they are if you watch them. If you don't, then I'm not going to send you there as well. Okay? But it's a bit disgusting. It's a bit disgusting, the underlying politics. They're trying to take sides. I don't know. I don't think, like, Steve, like, there's some sort of issue. I don't want to get into the drama of things. Some sort of issue between the presenters in some way. They didn't see the light in the way they present certain information. We've all got different ways of presenting information. I'm pretty sure Steve's like an Aussie. Get into a, you know, and then next thing, you're best friends if you do, or you don't, you know, and some people like Jason want to refrain back and don't want to get involved in things like that because they see it as conflict, and it's not that type of way. It's a different type of a culture, different type of mentality, different type of upbringing. You know, everyone's justified their own way. It's these other people who are trying to make names for themselves that are just coming in there going like this. And don't make that a meme, guys. Please don't make this a meme. Okay, I know what you're thinking now. You're thinking that you're very dirty, okay? But let's press forward with the fact that these G skills at $65 US is a great price, but not at the Australian conversion rate that we currently got them coming from Amazon here. And these are current links. We're talking 20 minutes as of this video being posted. I got all this material, so I had to get it up and running. Okay, and I will be, unfortunately, I'll say I've posted this video one day after the fact. It's going to be after the 12 a.m. mark, so it may lead to a different day. But understand that there was a timestamp on the currency conversion, which is the last slide that we are coming across, and you can see at what time I got everything plus that just to top things off. So Team Group, Team T-Force Gaming, the Z440 solid state disk NVMe 1 terabyte, great bargain if you can buy it for what I believe was $120 or $25, $259.08. There's 200, and is that the 1000 gigabyte one? It is. $259.08 in Australia, people. Australian dollars. Otherwise, it's about, I believe it was 120, 125 US. So pressing forward, $125 US. Pressing forward, that leads us to something that is definitely going to be changing, something that Tim was pressing that you could take to your next build, and per se, if you do, if you don't, you might be damned if you do, but damned if you don't, because you're not going to get that price on anything that's rated with the new rating scheme coming out in the near future. I believe $120 US for this Corsair power supply, $215.60 Australian. Okay, does that include delivery? No, but you can buy it from another country, I'm guessing, for $275 Australian, but then it says plus AUD $63.42 in shipping. So AUD $63 in shipping here, guys. So so I didn't even equate that to the figure. At least I put it up about $40 Australian for shipping in total. Jeez Louise, people, I apologize, sweet baby Jesus. as we press forward to not the piece of resistance, but I think he's got it on the money this time. There's only 3 left in stock, guys, and that's as of an hour ago now, probably 79 Australian dollars for the Phanteks Eclipse P300A. Great entry-level case, perfect the building. You want to spend no more than $100 on a case. It's got great airflow, maybe decent fans Phanteks can produce at times. I believe this was quoted for $70 US, so it was 99, 79, only 3 left in stock. Gonna have to be quick, otherwise it will be, that's the lowest price in 30 days. It will be $100 Australian or thereabouts, the equivalency of a case of this caliber. And this leads us into something that for 12400F Intel 12th gen CPU is probably overkill. Okay, I'd probably suggest, if you are inclined, use the stock cooler to save some money, or get yourselves the 12700 or thereabouts coolers, which are different in variety than the 12400 Intel stock coolers. I did a piece on that on United in Tech podcast. That's a sister channel that we have, United in Tech, and we've got a podcast specific on that channel. It was meant to go somewhere with a team member. Team members being called abroad for big IT business. We're going to have literally a international star coming in, only known as Stewie D, but on the enterprise level, he is Mr. D to you, Mr. D to you all, should I say? Nah, but he's a character, great gamer, good friend. Unfortunately, I have to find another partner in crime. I've got a couple of people on the list, but whether they want to work with Sebluka, at least when I'm having my rants like this and trying to be a bit more rhetorically charged, I don't know. But this is for you all to understand that I'm not trying to nitpick. I'm not trying to put down. I'm trying to have you guys at heart here and give you guys the best ammunition out there with your hard-earned dollars, because they're my own hard-earned dollars as well. And if I listen to this and I take note and I don't cross-reference my things, I don't have the time, I could be losing out, and we'll see how much we could be losing out sooner rather than later as we press on, because this Be Quiet Rock Black, I believe, was 65 Australian dollars. And on top of that, the icing on the cake, hasn't even got the LGA 1700 socket mounting, which you have to buy separately, which Tim neglects to mention is probably around $10 to $12, $15 as well. So that's $81 Australian coming from us. There's a Pure Rock Slim 2. There's some options, 3 available for $39. Both will be adequate for this CPU. Both will be better than the Intel stock cooler. I would suggest just getting the Intel stock cooler from the higher up models as they get sold off potentially, because people actually buy coolers for those ones, which probably need it more so than these. 12400, not going to be overclocked. It's going to be lock chipped. Doubt you got a $1,000 motherboard that's got the unlock BIOS on it, if you've heard about those. There's an unlock which you can actually overclock pretty much any of those chips, I believe. It's providing you got the specific BIOS and a $1,000 motherboard. But with that $1,000 motherboard, I doubt you've got that chip to begin with. True. So that moves us to what is essentially the piece de resistance. $1,200 US currently equates to 1,620 Australian dollars as of the 13th of April at 12:07 p.m. UTC, and this was approximately 11:30 p.m. or so Australian Eastern Time on Wednesday the 13th of April. Okay guys, now to cut a long story short, we have to understand Tim's a man you can trust. You can trust that face. Not to make a mistake, because we all make mistakes, but he's genuine enough that he may believe that this is a great deal for you guys to have. I would suggest if you guys are shopping for deals, cross-reference, look at tech deals, things like that, especially in the US. tech always tries to upsell you, it's a big thing. Okay, it makes sense, but there's justified reasoning for it, and he might upsell you to the same bracket and price range, which will get you for those prices, $1,200 US. He may talk you into getting better componentry, losing out here, gaining there, that you might come out with a 12700 F, for example. Now that processor with that dark rock cooler makes a bit more sense, frankly, to be brutally honest. But to cut a long story short, I don't want to sit there and say that this is just clickbait. They've come out of a rut where a lot of content was a bit dry and dry-lived, so finally there's these type of content they can produce, and they're going to start producing this type of content, and that's going to reinforce that. You look at that content along with their benchmarking processes, which are second to none but are debatable for some, okay, because these people have a much more comprehensive understanding of just what Hardware Unboxed's exposure to many, because people don't have the time to be exposed to all this information from these tech influencers, and that's what they are. They're influencers, people. You have to understand that these were actual prices through Hardware Unboxed's own affiliated links provided. So the Australian figure 1660 loosely on an extra 40 for delivery when we saw much more brings that figure to 1700 AUD. And guys, I did the math. I actually did the math. The math in Australian dollars, scrap that figure, because that's what's there to be said. The math, when you count it all up, is $1,884.45 Australian dollars. So now $1,884.45, give or take some extra postage, that's 1,900 Australian dollars for this build. Now, if you can see where I'm coming from, hit the like and or subscribe button. I don't often do pieces like these, but sometimes a rant has to come out and has to be foretold for you guys to understand that it conflicts with the information that I myself have provided, where I've got a 1,500 Australian dollar build that will eat, chew, be the true bang for buck build of early 2022, people. I don't say this lightly. Cross my heart. I don't hope to die. We shouldn't have to stick needles in people's eyes. I'm not being nitty-picky here. Understand, I love their content. I love all the influencers' content. I prefer to actually listen to them last though and see what the smaller lobies have to say before my vines get truffled with just the same mix of people, and you're in a spiral and you hope that their influencers, because their influencers, isn't in a turbulent motion of and or a lack of transparency of their own agendas at play. Because on a side note, like that NVIDIA debacle with Hardware Unboxed, if you just know them as of that time, they've got over 400,000 subscribers since that occurred. That's substantial growth. That is substantial growth in a year period or thereabouts for them to grow in that manner. Okay, negative publicity, sometimes great publicity. You have to remember that. And I apologize if I've sounded negative in any way, shape or form. I just felt the need to explain that pressing forward, I hope that the budget builds that these guys come up with are something a little bit more solid, less affiliated links, and more we can help you actually game at a cheaper price with better products involved, guys. My name is Seb Luca. Thanks for joining me and Tim from Hardware Unboxed in this special dissection of title in the description below, link in the description below to the full video made by Tim. At about 12-minute mark, that's where it ends there. The rest of it is him building it, and I guess a montage and all explaining how. I didn't get that far. I might watch it now. Peace out, y'all. I love you all. Don't forget to hit the like and or subscribe button. Always appreciated. Watch some of my other content at the TECHNESS Corner, and you'll see that I'm not always sounding like an asshole. And yeah, I am serious. Some people like to write down. They go, are you serious? And with these types of content pieces, I tend to lose 3 or 4 subscribers. I hope it's not the case. People should stay, cross-reference their stuff. The new egg kerfuffle, I called it. I was right. Everything checked out. Months and months down the track, I don't get those subscribers back. I hope they at least acknowledge and remember that they learned something about opening their eyes, because at the very least, hopefully you guys, if you've lasted this long, your eyes have been opened too. Bye. Like, just on a side note, just to finish up, guys, it's not like I'm saying go get yourselves a power supply with herb and mustard cabling that's going to be pissant and annoying, and you know, where I'm saving you a buck or two in my own $1,500 bang for buck Australian dollars bang for buck build that would equate to some considerable less amount in the US dollars for something similar of this caliber. But you know, I don't know, like, I guess this is one of those things that people like to say apocalyptic, what is it, Aztec, was like this Aztec model IBM, I don't know, probably crap back in the day, yeah, you know what I mean, like crap. It wouldn't last 20 years, 30 years even, you know. After all, this is what I give you guys, and those guys on the other hand, again, peace out, y'all.